Okay.
Madam Clerk, would you swear the witness, please?
Yes, sir. Ms. John, I'm sorry, apologies. Ooh, yes. Ms. Johnson, could you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson, could you state your name for the record, please, ma'am?
Leasa Johnson.
Ms. Johnson, where are you currently employed?
The New Mexico Racing Commission.
You've not been removed or put on suspension or otherwise terminated from the New Mexico Racing Commission as of today's date?
No.
So who is your direct supervisor as of today?
Ismael Trejo.
And your employer is who?
The New Mexico Racing Commission.
How long have you worked for the New Mexico Racing Commission?
Almost 20 years.
Have you made any arrangements for you to transfer to any other agency?
No.
Do you anticipate you'll be employed with the Racing Commission next week?
Yes.
In 2 weeks?
Yes.
In a month?
Yes.
What is your current title with the Racing Commission?
Chief State Investigator.
So you became employed with the Racing Commission in September of 2004, excuse me.
Sounds about right.
Your full name is Leasa, Leasa, Annette Johnson, is that right?
Yes.
What's your maiden name?
McDevitt.
Can you tell me all the other surnames you've gone by other than McDevitt and Johnson?
Powers and Skinner.
And how long did you hold yourself out, or when did you hold yourself out as Ms. Powers?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I've been Powers a long time.
So do you still go by the surname of Powers?
No, I don't. I go by Johnson.
Do you sometimes refer to yourself as Liz Johnson?
No.
Do you ever refer to yourself as Leasa Powers?
Yes.
Do you ever refer to yourself as Leasa Annette Powers?
Yes.
Do you ever refer to yourself as Liz Powers?
No.
Do you ever refer to yourself as Leasa Skinner?
Yes.
And why do you do that?
Because those were my names at the time.
I see. Can you tell me your date of birth, please?
4/29/64.
Have you ever used any other dates of birth?
No.
How many times have you been married?
Twice.
And what are the names of your prior husbands?
Skinner and Johnson.
And can you tell me the dates of each marriage and when and where the divorce took place?
Give us just a moment.
Certainly.
Okay. Can you repeat that last question, Eric?
Yes, most certainly. Could you give us the names of your prior husbands and the date and place of each marriage and the date and place of each divorce?
Well, I can tell you with, I do not remember for my husband Skinner. I don't remember the exact month or date that I got married, and I do not remember the exact date or when I got divorced. I married Robert Johnson in November of 2009.
So wasn't there one other marriage?
And who is that?
I don't know. So you've been married to Mr. Skinner and Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
and you're currently married to Mr. Johnson.
No.
Are you separated from him or divorced from him?
I'm divorced.
Okay. How about Powers? Was that your maiden name?
No, I told you my maiden name was McDivitt.
Yes, you did. Do you know when you were married to Mr. Powers?
No, I don't.
Do you know where you were married to him?
No, I don't.
Do you know what state you were married to him in?
No.
Do you know what country you were married to him in?
I'm sure it was the United States.
Do you know what state you were married to Mr. Johnson in?
Nevada.
Do you know what city?
Las Vegas.
Do you know what date?
November of 2009.
And when were you divorced from him?
2018.
Was he living in New Mexico at the time?
Yes.
Was the divorce in New Mexico?
Yes.
Bernalillo County?
I don't know.
Same with Mr. Skinner. Do you know where you were married to him?
Yes. New Jersey.
Where was, you know what city in New Jersey?
No.
Do you know what year?
No.
Month?
No.
Day?
No.
Do you know what state you were divorced from him in?
New Jersey.
Do you know what year that was?
I do not.
And what's Mr. Skinner's first name?
Dennis.
And what's Mr. Powers' first name? What's Mr. Powers' first name?
John.
And what's John, John?
Yes.
What's Mr. Johnson's first name?
Robert.
When was the last time you had any contact with Dennis Skinner?
I don't know.
When do you know where Dennis Skinner lives today?
Yes.
Where does he live?
I don't think that's important. So I'm not going to tell you. They have their right to privacy.
It may not be important, but I have a right to ask it. And so I'm going to ask again, Where does Mr. Skinner live today?
All right, so we're going to object. This is outside the scope of Rule 26. Has nothing to do with the claims in this case. And can only serve to embarrass or annoy this witness. So if she chooses not to answer, then she's choosing not to answer.
Are you directing her not to answer?
I am not directing her to answer or not to answer. It is her choice.
Well, actually, I don't think it is. You understand you're under oath here today,
I do.
and you understand that you're required to answer questions truthfully.
Yes.
And does Mr. Skinner live in New Jersey,
No.
New York?
Excuse me?
Does he live in New York State?
No.
Does he live in New Mexico,
No.
Texas?
Yes, I answered that already.
He lives in Texas?
I said Texas earlier.
What city in Texas?
I don't know.
Do you know where John Powers lives today?
No, I do not.
Do you know where Robert Johnson lives today?
I do not.
How old is Dennis Skinner?
I don't know.
How old is John Powers?
I don't know.
How old is Robert Johnson?
I don't know.
Do you have any children?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
One.
And what is their name?
Cody.
And how old is Cody?
32.
Where does Cody live?
He lives in Portland.
Oregon?
Yes.
When and where did you graduate from high school?
I graduated from Del Norte in 1981.
And can you tell us your professional background or what you've done since you graduated high school?
I was a member of the Armed Forces, and I worked for the state of New Mexico.
Which branch of the armed forces?
Air Force.
What years were you in the Air Force?
1985 to 1999.
Were you did you honorably discharged?
Yes.
Were you enlisted?
My rank has nothing to do with anything.
Well, I'm asking whether you were enlisted or not.
I would have to divulge what my rank was.
Well, as I understand it, there's enlisted and officers. Is my understanding correct?
Correct. I was an airman. How's that?
That's wonderful. And you were an airman E5?
I was an airman.
What was your rank?
I was an airman.
Were you E5?
I was an airman.
Were you E6?
I was an airman.
But give me just a minute here.
What's that? My last question, I believe, what was your rank when you left the military?
E5.
Have you ever served as a law enforcement officer?
Yes.
Where and when did you obtain your law enforcement certification?
I got it through the military.
In what year?
1986.
Did you go through a academy or training before
Yes.
you received your certification? What could you describe the training you went through to obtain your certification, please?
I went through at Lackland Air Force Base through the law enforcement.
Was it like a 8-week training, 10-week training?
I think it was more like 14 months.
Is that full-time, part-time?
Full time.
And what sort of subjects did you receive training in?
Basic law enforcement, the rights of individuals. I didn't study, so I had no idea what I needed to answer here. So I don't know what you want me to answer. I went through a law enforcement academy.
All right. Well, I'm just trying to figure out what you remember of your training. Not trying to trick you or make you uncomfortable at all. But the reason I ask is because academies vary in the length and what exactly you're trained in. Some academies train in safe driving and pursuit driving, use of tasers, use of tear gas or sprays, the defensive technique, all those sort of things. And so I'm just curious as to what you did over those 14 months. Was it in classroom training? Did you go out and use hands-on training?
Part of it was law enforcement academy, and the other part is classified of what I did in the service.
I see. Were you deployed overseas while you were in the service?
Yes.
Where were you deployed overseas?
Africa, Europe.
Were you deployed to Djibouti?
No,
Where in Africa were you deployed?
it's classified.
Where in Europe were you deployed?
Germany.
Were you deployed in England?
No,
What base in Germany were you deployed at?
Ramstein.
Were you employed by the military police while you were in the Air Force?
Yes.
What other law enforcement agencies have you worked for?
The Office of Special Investigations.
In the Air Force?
Yes.
Any other law enforcement agencies you worked for?
Inspector General's office.
Inspector General's Office of the Air Force?
No, with the state of New Mexico.
excuse me. Is that separate and apart from the New Mexico Racing Commission?
Yes.
What years were you employed by the Inspector General's office?
I think it was 1999 to when I came to the Racing Commission, 2004.
What were your duties at the Inspector General's office?
I investigated corrupt employees.
Now, were you required to have a law enforcement certification to work for the state of New Mexico Inspector General's office?
No,
Were you required to have a law enforcement certification to work as for the Racing Commission?
no,
Have you ever worked for the New Mexico Taxation and Revenue Services?
briefly.
When did you work there?
I don't remember.
What did you do there?
Driver's licenses.
Did you ever work for the New Mexico Department of Children, Youth, and Families or Human Services Department?
No, I worked for the Inspector General's office.
And what did you do there again?
I did internal investigations.
Why did you leave there?
I wanted to do something different.
Why?
I wanted to do something different.
Why did you leave the Taxation and Revenue Department? Why did you leave the Taxation and Revenue Department?
Because I got a new job
Where?
with the Inspector General's office.
So tax and revenue was before 1999.
No, I think it was 1999. I was only there for a brief time.
Why did you? And you left there to go to the Inspector General's office?
Yes.
Why did you leave the Human Services Department?
Object the form. You said Human Services Department?
Yes. Or the children. You work for Children, Youth, and Families or the Department of Human
I worked
Services?
for the Inspector General's office.
You never worked for Children, Youth, and Families?
No, I did not.
You never worked for the Human Services Department?
They were part of the Inspector General's.
Is your law enforcement certification for the military only?
Yes.
So it's not transferable to the state of New Mexico?
It could have if I had requested it within a certain amount of time.
How much time did you have to request that?
I believe it was 2 years.
How do you know Vanessa Alexander?
I know of her. I wouldn't say that I have met her maybe once, and that's the extent of it.
And when did you meet her?
I think it was at a Breeders' Cup dinner or something like that.
And did you speak with her?
I was introduced to her, and we had a conversation.
How long did the conversation last?
A few minutes.
And during the conversation, did you at any point feel uncomfortable?
No,
At any point during the conversation, did you feel that you were threatened by Miss Alexander?
no,
During this conversation, did you form the opinion that Miss Alexander was a wacko?
No.
Now, are you aware that Ms. Alexander has done research and investigations around New Mexico racing industry?
Yes.
And could you describe what your understanding is?
Just what I've been told.
And what and when have you been told?
It seems like there's an investigation going out. I mean, there was a letter sent to the governor's office
By whom?
by Miss Alexander.
How do you know that?
I was told.
By who?
People tell me things.
Well, do you have a name of who told you?
I don't know if I have a name. I just had someone say, hey, you might want to look up the letter or what was going on the news.
Yeah. Did Mr. Trejo tell you that Miss Alexander had written a letter?
I don't believe so, no.
Did Mr. Bustamante tell you?
No.
Are you aware that Miss Alexander has prepared preliminary investigations and reports for state and federal law enforcement agencies when she's discovered criminal activities at New Mexico racetracks?
Is there a question?
He asked if you are aware.
Oh,
Do you want him to repeat the question? Okay, then,
yes, I'm aware.
okay.
And are you also aware that Miss Alexander's research investigation has resulted in her being quoted or interviewed multiple documentaries and networks such as Discovery?
No.
Are you aware of the many stories in the media about license suspensions and revocation, medication and doping violation, criminal arrest charges, and other serious misconduct as a result of Miss Alexander's investigations, reporting, and collaboration with state and federal authorities and state racing commissions?
Yes, I'm aware of that.
Are you aware that Miss Alexander's investigations over the past 2 years have resulted in the resignations and terminations of officials and staff in other racing jurisdictions?
No.
Isn't it true that the Racing Commission received a copy of Miss Alexander's report on the agency staff and officials' incompetence and corruption on December 10th, 2021?
I'm not aware.
You are aware that Mr. Trejo and Miss Alexander have been friends for several years?
I don't know.
You aware that Miss Alexander has provided the Racing Commission with evidence of contraband and intelligence on horse racing?
I'm not aware.
Are you aware that Miss Alexander's intelligence and assistance has resulted in the Racing Commission's apprehension of dopers, suspended individuals on track grounds, illegally licensed individuals, fraudulently licensed individuals, and other serious infractions?
I'm not aware.
Have you received any credit for catching these infractions as a result of Miss Alexander's efforts.
No,
Isn't it true that you and the Racing Commission have benefited from Miss Alexander's assistance?
I have no knowledge of that.
Has Miss Alexander ever asked you or the commission for any thanks or credit for her work?
I am not aware.
What does false statement mean to you?
False statement means someone's not telling the truth.
What does impeaching a witness mean in civil, criminal, or administrative proceedings?
Object to form a foundation. Answer if you can. You can answer if you can.
That's where somebody will try and impeach the witness.
Well, what does the word perjury mean to you?
It means when somebody's not telling the truth.
What does defamation mean to you?
That means when somebody says something that's not true about an individual.
What does the word collusion mean to you?
Collusion means when there's two parties that collude together.
What does the word conspiracy mean to you?
Conspiracy is someone's opinion or thoughts.
Well, does conspiracy mean when people work together by agreement to commit an illegal act?
It's not my definition.
What does the word extortion mean?
When somebody is trying to extort something out of somebody else.
What does the word blackmail mean?
I have no idea what blackmail means.
Can blackmail be described as making threats to do something or disclose something that will cause harm to the victim of the threat?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know.
What does retaliation mean to you?
I believe it's when somebody does something to another individual and they retaliate against them.
Isn't it true that in 2021, Ms. Alexander exposed a massive licensing fraud scheme perpetrated by the Racing Commission staff and officials, including yourself? Not true?
I had nothing to do with it.
Well, did she expose a massive licensing fraud scheme?
I believe I heard something about that.
What did you hear?
That she was accusing individuals of selling licenses.
And were those allegations deemed to be true?
No.
Were you aware? Now, you're the chief investigator for the New Mexico Racing Commission, is that right?
Yes.
And you report to Mr. Izzy Trejo, is that right?
Yes.
Are you aware that Mr. Trejo has stated that you are incompetent?
Yes.
And how did you become aware that Mr. Trejo referred to you as incompetent?
I believe somebody sent to me the audio.
All right, do you know who it was?
Alan Chastain.
And who is Alan Chapstein?
He is a veterinarian.
Does he work at in the New Mexico racing tracks as a vet?
Yes.
And do you know when this audio recording was made?
I don't remember.
Was Mr. or Dr. Chapstein there recording it?
No, it was on Facebook. He sent me a blip of what was on Facebook.
You know when this conversation or statement was made?
No.
And you also heard in the clip, the Facebook clip, that Mr. Trejo said you were incompetent, compromised, and corrupt.
Yeah, I heard that.
And he told Miss Alexander that. Is that right?
Yes.
Was Mr. Trejo being truthful when he called you incompetent, compromised, and corrupt?
I would say no.
Why would Mr. Trejo make false statements about you?
Would you like to form a foundation? Go ahead.
I have no idea.
But you recognize Mr. Trejo's voice,
Yes.
and he claimed, and I'm not trying to embarrass you. I'm sorry I've got to ask these questions, but you heard his voice that you recognize state that you're incompetent, compromised, and corrupt. Right?
Yes.
Has he ever put that in writing to you?
No.
Has he ever reprimanded you for that?
No.
Has he ever, to your knowledge, started an investigation?
No.
Now, we can agree that your job is chief investigator for the New Mexico Racing Commission is a key position to ensure the integrity of horse racing in New Mexico, true?
Yes.
And we can agree that as the chief investigator, it's important that you be competent, uncompromised, and honest, true?
Yes.
And you would agree that a chief investigator being incompetent, compromised, and corrupt would, in fact, affect the entire quarter horse racing industry in New Mexico that's regulated by the Racing Commission, true?
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah, having a chief investigator that's incompetent, compromised, and corrupt would, in fact, compromise the entire horse racing industry in New Mexico, true?
Only if it was true.
Right. But if it's true,
It's not true.
I understand that. We're talking hypothetically that, there's how many investigators are there? 4 investigators?
3.
3 including you? Or 3
Yes.
plus you? Okay. We can agree that having any investigator incompetent, compromised, or corrupt would compromise the entire racing commission in New Mexico, true?
Yes.
And it's important that each investigator be competent, true?
Yes.
And it's important that each investigator competently perform their job, true?
Yes.
And it's important that each investigator perform their job duties in an uncompromised manner, true?
Yes.
And it's important that each investigator be honest, true?
Yes.
And why is that?
Integrity is what we base our investigations on. And that's all I have to say.
Now, you're also aware that Mr. Trejo said you are incapable of training another investigator. Isn't that true?
I believe I heard that, yes.
In fact, on August 8th, 2021, Mr. Trejo said, well, I'm going to tell you something, Vanessa, that the weakest part of horse racing regulations are investigators. Do you recall hearing that?
Yes.
You recall Mr. Trejo saying the same date, the racing offices, that's where a lot of crap goes on. Never mind the paper training and all that. Race fixing, the manipulation of races, that's where a lot of crap goes on. Do you recall him stating that?
Yes.
And the racing offices were referring to the investigators' offices.
I have no idea.
Well, what other racing offices would there be?
I don't understand the question.
Well, as I understand it, there's Mr. Trejo, who's the head, right?
He's the what?
Mr. Trejo is the head of the Racing Commission.
Yes.
Mr. Bustamante is the attorney.
Yes.
And then you had a public records inspector, I believe.
I don't know who that is.
And then the investigators, do they have offices at the Albuquerque offices?
Yes.
And so, and in fact, your office is located in the Racing Commission building, is that right?
Yes.
And all the other three investigators are also based in the Albuquerque Racing Commission office?
Yes.
Now, do you recall hearing Mr. Trejo state on August 8, 2021, these investigators know nothing about a racing office. No one taught them, no one goes to the ROAP program, so we're trying to make an effort to make our investigators better. I finally told Liz, I'm going to take you under my wing. Lisa's not telling you anything. You're coming under me. I'll show you how to do it as much as I know how to do an investigation. Do you recall him stating that?
Yes.
Okay. And what were the names of the other investigators on August 8, 2021?
Elizabeth Garcia.
And yourself?
Yes.
Was Mr. Trejo's last statement that the investigators know nothing about a racing office or true or false?
I would say false.
And what is the ROAP program?
It's the rope program,
What do those initials stand for?
racing officials program, accredited program, I guess. I don't remember.
Yeah. Have you ever attended they call them rope programs?
Yes.
Are they yearly or quarterly?
Yearly.
Have you ever attended a rope program?
Yes.
How many rope programs have you attended?
A few.
Did you attend a rope program in 2023,
No,
2022,
no,
2021,
no,
2020,
no,
2019,
no,
2018,
no,
2017,
no,
2016.
yes,
So the last rope program you attended was in 2016.
yes.
Do you know where that was?
It was in Louisville, Kentucky.
And how long was how long did the program last?
I don't remember, 7 days, I think.
And so they're pretty lengthy programs.
7 days.
Do they last all day?
Yes.
Is there any reason why you haven't attended a rope program since 2016?
I haven't.
Now, is there do they have a test at the rope program?
Yes.
Did you pass the rope testing in 2016?
No.
Is there a grade you have to have in order to pass the rope testing?
It's done in sections, and you don't pass. You can pass one section or fail a section.
Let's see. And you've worked at the commission since 2004, is that right?
Yes.
So between 2004 and 2016, have you attended any rope programs?
No. Well, other than the 2016.
So you've only attended one rope training program the entire time you've been employed as an investigator for the Racing Commission?
Yeah. I mean, I've done some talks at them, but I have not participated in one.
And the only rope program examination that you took, you were unsuccessful on, is that right?
Yes.
Are you required by the Racing Commission to be certified or pass the rope program testing?
No.
Now, isn't it true that Mr. Trejo, you were aware, Mr. Trejo, telling Miss Alexander that you had been in contact with suspended and banned individuals who were barred from racing for many years?
Yes.
Is that true?
No.
Do you know why Mr. Trejo would make a statement like that?
I do not.
Was there any personal animosity between yourself and Mr. Trejo?
Not that I'm aware of.
So was Mr. Trejo being untruthful when he said you'd not been in contact with suspended and banned individuals?
Yes.
And you have no reason as to why a person that you apparently get along with, don't have any animosity, would make up something untruthful?
I have no idea.
Did you blame Miss Alexander
For what?
for Mr. Trejo making untrue statements about you?
No.
Would you agree it would be inappropriate for the chief investigator of the Racing Commission to be in contact with suspended, banned, unlicensed, or otherwise barred individuals from racing when not in the course of an official investigation?
Yes.
And why is that?
Well, you shouldn't be, I guess I'm being accused of doing this, and all I can say is that I haven't done this.
Now, are you issued a cellular phone by the Racing Commission?
I am.
And what is the number for that, the Racing Commission cellular phone?
505-268-9822.
And how long have you had that number?
I have no idea.
And who's the provider?
Verizon.
And has Verizon always been the provider?
I don't know.
Do you use a personal cell phone for Racing Commission business?
No,
Do you have a personal cell phone number?
I do.
All right. Does the Racing Commission pay your Verizon cell phone number, phone bill every month?
For my work phone, yes.
Do you see the bill when it comes in?
No,
Is there any limitation on who you can call on the phone?
not that I'm aware of.
Okay. Now, are you aware that Mr. Trejo told Miss Alexander that you wanted to be part of the elite New Mexico world?
I have no idea.
Isn't it true that while discussing alleged corruption, Mr. Trejo told Miss Alexander that he had spoken to the FBI about you and said he wasn't going to protect you, that you had done this to yourself and wondered why you would do this?
I have no idea.
Do you do business or work for other agencies?
Sometimes.
What other agencies do you do business or work for?
We need a break.
Give us a couple minutes.
Sure.
And it's been about an hour. Why don't we just take 5?
Fine. That sounds good. We can go off the record. All right, you're back. Can we go back on the record?
Yes, we're ready.
Back on the record. So, what other business or work do you do for other agencies, please?
I'm not employed by any other agency other than the New Mexico Racing Commission. I've been asked to assist in one investigation that I can think of.
And what was that?
It was a compounding pharmacy in Weatherford, Texas.
And what were you asked to do?
I was asked to help with a search warrant on the pharmacy.
And you do so?
Excuse me?
Did you do so?
Yes, I did.
Who were you asked to do that by?
The FDA.
And that's the Food and Drug Administration?
Yes.
Do you remember the name of the individual at the Food and Drug Administration that asked you?
Lori Janosti.
And where does she work out of?
Louisiana.
Where in Louisiana?
I don't know. Louisiana is what I know.
New Orleans? Baton Rouge?
I don't know.
And when did you assist in the service of the search warrant?
I don't remember.
What were you searching for?
And I haven't been released from my gag order either. So that's
Who put a gag order on?
a judge in Texas.
What's the judge's name?
I don't recall.
And was it in the Eastern District, Western District, Northern District?
I don't remember. It's been a long time.
How long ago?
It's been a long time. I don't remember the year.
10 years?
I don't know.
Have you seen the gag order?
Yes.
Who told you?
It came through the FDA to me from the judge.
Okay. That's the John Stein Bow case, isn't it?
Yes.
What other agencies have you ever assisted other than the FDA?
I've assisted the Texas Racing Commission. I've assisted the Oklahoma Racing Commission. I have assisted the Kentucky Racing Commission and California.
And how many times have you assisted the Texas Racing Commission?
I don't remember.
Did you assist them in any investigation of a steward by the name of Ron Walker?
No.
Do you know an individual by the name of Ron Walker?
Yes.
You're aware that Ron Walker was terminated from the Racing Commission?
That's not true.
Is he eligible to be rehired?
Yes.
Why did Ron Walker leave the New Mexico Racing Commission?
I believe he retired.
How many times have you assisted the Oklahoma Racing Commission?
I don't recall.
How many times have you assisted the Kentucky Racing Commission?
I don't know. A couple times.
And what was that for? Do you recall?
I think it was having to do with an enforcement team.
And how about the California? How many times?
Several.
Have you ever assisted them in an investigation of Billy Smith?
No.
Any other agencies you've assisted?
Nope, that I can recall.
Have you assisted the New Mexico Attorney General's office?
No,
Have you assisted the New Mexico Auditor's office?
no,
Have you assisted the Federal Bureau of Investigation?
no,
Now, if you recall Mr. Trejo telling Ms. Alexander that an examination of your phone records would prove that you had been in contact with suspended and banned individuals for years.
What do you want me to answer?
Well, do you realize that Mr. Trejo says that if you looked at your phone records,
I was not aware.
okay, would in fact looking at your phone records show that you had been in contact with suspended or banned individuals?
No,
Now, I understand your personal phone number is, cell phone number is 915-309-3433, is that right?
yes,
And that's through Verizon?
yes,
And you speak and you do business, Racing Commission business, using that phone number?
no,
Is your testimony under oath here today that you've never used that phone number, 915-309-3433, to conduct Racing Commission business?
no,
Do you know an individual by the name of Roberto Sanchez?
yes.
How do you know Roberto Sanchez?
He was a trainer in New Mexico.
When was the last time you had contact with Roberto Sanchez?
Before he was suspended.
And when was that?
I do not recall.
Do you know an individual by the name of Alex Sanchez?
Yes,
How do you know him?
he is Roberto's brother.
He's also banned from racing in New Mexico.
Yes,
You know why?
because of dimorphin tests.
And were they positive?
Yes,
And that was in Oklahoma?
yes,
Have you spoken to Alex Sanchez on your personal telephone at any time?
no,
Have you spoken to Roberto Sanchez on your personal telephone at any time?
no,
Do you know what Roberto Sanchez's cell phone number is?
no,
Do you know what Alex Sanchez's cell phone number is?
no,
Are you aware that Alex Sanchez is married to Julita Torres, Hulieta? Julita? Julita
Julita.
Torres? Yeah, that too. They're
yes,
married?
yes,
And Mr. Trujillo has been aware, in fact, admitted to Ms. Alexander that you've known for many years that Alex Sanchez is married to Julita Torres, correct?
yes,
Are you aware that Mr. Trejo admitted that you had been colluding with Roberto and Alex Sanchez to commit fraud?
I am not aware of that.
Have you been colluding with them to commit fraud?
No,
Are you aware that Roberto and Alex Sanchez have raced horses under Diamond Racing Stables?
Yes,
And Diamond Racing Stables is owned by Leasa Torres, is that right?
yes,
And so do Alex Sanchez and Leasa Torres live here in New Mexico?
I don't know.
But you can agree that Alex Sanchez has a community interest in Diamond Racing Stables.
Check to form a foundation. Go ahead.
I don't know.
You would agree that Mr. Sanchez, using a ruse of racing under a shell entity, would be a violation of his suspension, wouldn't it?
Yes,
And you're aware that Mr. Alex Sanchez has been racing horses under the shell entity known as Diamond Racing Stables, true?
yes, but we're not the ones that wrote the ruling, so that would be out of Oklahoma.
Well, he's not allowed to, because he's suspended in Oklahoma, he's not allowed to race horses in New Mexico, true?
That's true.
And he's not allowed to race horses under a shell entity, true?
True.
But he has raced horses in New Mexico under a shell entity, true?
Yes,
And you have known this for quite some time, haven't you?
yes,
How long have you known this?
since they've been suspended.
And which would have been when?
I don't recall the year.
But they've been suspended since 2012. Does that sound about right?
Yes,
And they have raced horses in New Mexico since 2012 using a shell entity by the name of Diamond Racing Stables.
yes,
And you've known that?
yes.
And you have done nothing to stop that?
That's not true.
What have you done to stop it?
I have told the last 3 executive directors that we had that they were running horses. And I did my due diligence of reporting it. If they don't want to do, if they don't want to do anything about it, that's not on me.
Did you? Well, that's a criminal violation, isn't it?
For what?
Racing a suspended person racing horses in New Mexico.
It's a violation. I don't know if it's criminal.
Well, it's fraudulent, isn't it?
You'd like to form a foundation. Go ahead.
It's fraudulent, isn't it?
Yes,
Have you reported the fraud to any law enforcement agency?
it was reported to the Inspector General's office, or not the Inspector, the New Mexico AG's office.
When was that done?
I don't know, 2014 or 15.
And did you report that?
I did.
Who do you report that to?
I don't remember their names.
You report it in writing or orally?
There was paperwork.
So in writing?
Yes.
Did you get a response?
Nope.
Did you, you said did you report this illegal racing by the Sanchez brothers to Izzy Trejo?
Yes.
Okay, and when did you do that?
I believe when he first came on as the executive director.
Which would have been in 2019?
I don't know.
Did you report that in writing or orally?
Orally.
And you recall the month and date that you did so?
No.
Was anybody else present when you made that report?
I don't remember.
Do you remember, was the report made at his office?
Yes.
In Albuquerque?
Yes.
Did you make that report more than once?
Yes.
How many times did you report the illegal racing by the Sanchez brothers to Mr. Trejo?
I don't keep track of how many times. I know that he was told about it and about the individuals involved with that whole organization.
Well, the first time, what did you tell Mr. Trejo?
I just gave him an overview of what I was requested to do by the previous executive director. Yeah.
Which was?
Vince Maris.
Okay. So what exactly did you tell? Give me the overview of what you told Mr. Trejo.
That they were suspended for dimorphin positives, but they continue to have program trainers and they continue to race in New Mexico.
What was Mr. Trejo's response?
I have no idea. I mean, he just listened.
Well, you were there. Did he act surprised? Did he say anything?
I said he listened.
And did you tell Mr. Trejo, you said you told Mr. Trejo this information regarding the Sanchez brothers more than once. Do you think it was less than 5 or more than 5 times?
I don't know.
Do you know when have you informed him of this in 2023?
I guess it was when Linda Sanchez got a racing license.
And when was that?
I believe in January.
Of 2023?
Yes.
And why was it that you informed Mr. Trejo again that the Sanchez brothers continue to illegally operate here in New Mexico?
Linda Sanchez is married to Roberto Sanchez. And they ran horses and trials at Sunland Park.
Isn't Linda Sanchez the mother of Roberto?
No.
And what was Mr. Trejo's response?
Well, we had her license taken away.
And why was that?
Because she's married to a person that's suspended, and that's against the rules.
And I think Roberto has been suspended for like 100 years from the in Oklahoma. Does that sound about right?
I don't think so. I don't know.
Or was it knocked down to 20 years?
I believe it. What I understand was it was 20 years.
Yeah. How about Alex? How long has he been suspended for?
I believe he got the same penalty.
Okay. So you're telling me under oath that despite being informed that the Sanchez brothers were illegally racing in New Mexico, that Mr. Trejo allowed Alex Sanchez to illegally race until at least August of 2021?
I did my due diligence. What happened after that is I didn't make those decisions.
I appreciate that, but my question to you is, you're testifying here today under oath that Director Trejo allowed Alex Sanchez to illegally race up until August of 2021.
I have no say in what Mr. Trejo does. So
I appreciate that very much, but my question is simple. Up until August of 2021, Mr. Trejo allowed Alex Sanchez to illegally race here in New Mexico. True?
I guess so.
And isn't it true that it was Miss Alexander's investigation and reports that caused the Racing Commission to stop taking entries from Diamond Racing? Isn't that true?
I don't know.
So I'm interested, actually curious, how was it that Miss Alexander, you described Miss Alexander, I believe, on December 10th, 2022 as a wacko, is that right?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
You sure of that?
That's not normally what a word I would use.
Well, how was it that Miss Alexander was able to get the Racing Commission to stop taking entries from Diamond Racing and you weren't able to?
I don't know.
Object to form a foundation.
You find that odd?
Nope.
Why not?
I don't find it odd.
Okay. Now, you're aware that federal agencies, including the U.S. Treasury Department and the Drug Enforcement Agency, were investigating the Sanchez brothers?
I don't know.
Isn't it true that you claim you were told to drop the investigation into the Sanchez brothers and look the other way?
No.
Did Vince Mars ever tell you to drop the investigation?
No.
You'd indicated that you had informed two other Racing Commission heads of the Sanchez brothers' illegal activities. And one was Vince Mares, is that right?
Yes.
And when was Vince Mares the Racing Commission director?
I don't know what years it was.
And how many times did you inform Mr. Mares regarding the Sanchez brothers' illegal activities?
Mr. Mares was aware of the investigation that was going on.
The investigation you were conducting?
Yes.
And how long did your investigation of the Sanchez brothers last?
About a year.
And what did you do to investigate?
I was able to.
Well, that's confidential.
Yeah.
So you can explain that.
It was confidential.
Who made it confidential?
It's still under investigation
How do you know that?
because I haven't stopped doing it.
So you're still investigating them?
Yes.
Who have you contacted regarding your investigation of the Sanchez brothers?
Who have I contacted?
Yes.
Meaning,
Well, have you contacted Roberto?
no,
You contacted Alex?
no,
Have you contacted Julieta Torres?
nope,
Have you contacted the Federal Bureau of Investigation,
no,
the Internal Revenue Service,
no,
the New Mexico Attorney General's office?
yes.
When did you contact the Attorney General's office? That was in 2015, I believe.
I don't remember what day it was or what year it was.
And did you make the determination that your investigation was confidential, or did somebody tell you it was confidential?
I'm going to object just to the extent of answering that question. I don't want you to talk about what an attorney for the Racing Commission or attorney from the Attorney General and you have discussed because of the attorney-client privilege. If you can answer that question without getting into that, then you can answer.
Can't answer it.
Was Mr. Bustamante your attorney?
No,
Has Mr. Bustamante ever represented you as an attorney?
no,
And so for the record, and I understand your position, Mr. Lohman, but I don't think there is a valid attorney-client privilege here. I'm going to ask the witness whether, in fact, Mr. Bustamante has told you that the investigation is confidential.
Well, and again, I'm going to object because if he's giving her legal advice and it's within the scope of her employment as with the Racing Commission, he represents the Racing Commission, and those communications would be protected by the attorney-client privilege.
Now, and we'll take that up with the judge later on. I understand your position, but so other than Vince Mares and Izzy Trujillo, you had told one other head of the Racing Commission about the Sanchez brothers racing?
his name was Dan Fick. He was the interim before Izzy started.
And did you tell him in writing or orally?
I showed him the documentation.
And what documentation did you show him?
I showed him part of the case.
And how many documents did the case file consist of?
I don't know.
And where is the case file kept?
Not inside the Racing Commission.
And I appreciate that, but my question is, where is the investigative file kept?
It's not here.
Where is it?
I don't know where it could be now.
Well, could it be here in my office?
No. I don't know. Maybe it could be. I have no idea.
When was the last time you saw the investigative file?
It's been a while. I don't remember.
And have you seen it in 2023?
No.
2022?
No.
2021?
No. I don't remember. I'll just save you. I don't remember.
Well, you're not saving me. Did you see it in 2020?
I don't know.
And you don't know where the investigative file is being kept.
You need a break.
Okay. Give us a moment, please.
Well, no, not really. We've got a question on the table, and I'd like the witness to answer the question on the table
Okay.
before we take a break. So could you answer that, please, before we take a break?
Okay. Well, so if he's asking for some information that's confidential, or well, classified is not the right word, but confidential, then you can tell him that.
I believe that the case is confidential, and I'm not going to tell you where it is.
Well, the location of the case file, that's not confidential.
What's inside of it is.
And I'm not asking you what's inside of it. I'm asking you where the case file is. And I can't see you anymore.
So, Eric, I understand your concern, and I appreciate your concern. Can I have a moment to speak? I'm not sure can I have a moment to speak with him?
Yeah, sure, that's fine. The investigation file being kept as of today's date.
It's in my possession.
All right. Do you have it there with you right now?
No,
Is it at the Racing Commission
no.
office? Well, when you say it's in your possession, is it in your car? Is it in your home?
It's in my home.
Do you generally take investigative files home?
No,
Why did you take this investigative file home?
because I'm not done with it yet.
Well, you engage in several investigations over any given year, don't you?
Yes,
And you don't, and some of them are still, you're not done with it yet?
Nope.
So when will you be done with your investigation?
I don't know.
Does Mr. Trejo know that it's being kept in your home?
I don't know.
Have you told him?
No,
And is the, how many pages does the file contain?
I don't know.
We are going to ask Mr. Lohman to produce that investigative file. And if you're claiming that it's somehow privileged or confidential, then we would ask that you file it under seal with the district court to allow the district court to make that decision. But we're asserting a right to that information today.
Please send me a request for production.
Well, I'm requesting it right now.
Okay.
And I'll send you a written request.
Just a simple written RFP.
Yeah.
I would.
Sure, no problem.
All right.
Sure, that's not a problem. No problem. So has anybody ever told you to drop the investigation of the Sanchez brothers?
I was told that by one of the executive directors that they would not take action on it.
Who was that?
Dan Fick.
You say why?
No, he just said that he would not take action on it.
Do you know why he would not take action on it?
No, I don't.
Do you have information that he received payoffs or money for not pursuing the investigation?
I have no idea.
And you have no idea why Mr. Fike would not take action on illegal activity?
I don't know.
Is it proper in your view, as the chief investigator for the Racing Commission, for the Racing Commission to refuse to take action on illegal activities?
I would think that they would want to.
And why would you think they would want to?
Because, as you said, it was an illegal activity.
And the Racing Commission is to ensure that horse racing is fair and on the up and up here in New Mexico, true?
Yes.
And a race in which a suspended person is racing a horse is not a fair and up race, is it?
No.
Do you know why the New Mexico Racing Commission stopped taking entries from Diamond Racing Stables in 2021?
I don't recall.
You recall Mr. Trejo telling the commission on August 19th, 2021 that steward Ron Walker was retiring from racing?
I don't remember that, no.
You recall that Ms. Alexander reported finding illegally licensed individuals that were approved by Mr. Walker?
I have no knowledge of any of that.
Are you aware that Mrs. Alexander has reported fraudulent licenses over a 2-year period?
I believe that, yes, I've heard something about that, yes.
And the commission has taken no action on those reports of fraudulent licensure, have they?
I don't know.
They have taken action against Miss Alexander, though, haven't they?
I have no knowledge of that either.
Well, you were there when they made a report to the New Mexico State Police, weren't you?
I was there. I don't recall that we did anything to Miss Alexander.
So I have a email in front of me dated Saturday, December 11th, 2021 from Mr. Bustamante to Nicholas Chavez and a copy to Ismael or Izzy Trejo regarding Vanessa Alexander. And I read a portion of that and ask whether you're aware of that. Are you aware that Mr. Bustamante told Mr. Chavez of the state police, please accept my apologies for the rude and unprofessional interpretations and behavior by investigator Leasa Johnson. Do you recall that email?
Yes.
Do you recall him in the email stating, I reached out to you at the direction of the executive director Trejo to file a report on threats to the safety of the Racing Commission staff by Ms. Alexander based on direct evidence from her. It was highly inappropriate, unprofessional, and selfish of Ms. Johnson to interject herself and bring forth Facebook posts, the exact origins of which she has no clue, and attempt to make that a part of your investigation. I believe you would agree that clearly identifiable threats to one's safety are different than anonymous gossip about personal matters. Moreover, Ms. Johnson was and is entirely ignorant of the possibility of the potential liability she exposes the Racing Commission to by openly attributing those posts to Ms. Alexander with no direct knowledge. Please do not let those anonymous Facebook gossip posts hinder in any way, shape, or form your investigation based on direct evidence or threats from Ms. Alexander. Do you recall that email?
Yes.
And did you provide the state police with a series of anonymous Facebook postings?
Yes.
How many Facebook postings were there?
I don't remember. 2 or 3.
And what did the posting state?
I don't recall right now.
And do you have copies of those still?
I think the state police have them.
You don't have a copy though?
I don't think so. Not anymore.
Do you, were these Facebook postings in any way threatening?
No.
Do you have any personal knowledge that those Facebook postings were posted by Miss Alexander?
No.
But you told the state police that they were posted by Miss Alexander?
I don't believe I said that.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
Hey, Eric, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt.
Sure.
But your 1:30 witness is here. I need to just pop out and let him know we're going to be a little longer.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Any idea how much longer?
Oh, I would bet we're going to be another hour.
Okay. Okay,
My family's not important.
You ready to go back on the record, Madam Court Reporter?
just a moment, Eric.
Yes, sir.
Okay, go ahead.
So, um, have you spoken to anybody in the media about Miss Alexander?
No,
Have you spoken to Ray Pollock about Miss Alexander?
no,
How about Natalie Ross? Boss, B-O-S-S.
no,
You spoken to any official and any racing agency or association about Miss Alexander?
no.
Can you describe the business you had with Laura Joyner?
What business?
Jewelry business.
I don't have a jewelry business with Linda Joyner.
Have you ever had a jewelry business with Laura Joyner?
No,
Who is Laura Joyner?
I have no idea.
You know of an individual by the name of Mike Joyner,
Yes,
and he's married to Laura Joyner.
not that I know of.
Is it ethical to for a investigator to do business with horsemen you have authority over?
I don't do business on the racetrack.
And I appreciate that, but my question to you was, is it ethical for a investigator to do business with horsemen that the investigator has authority over?
Well, I brought that up to my executive director, Julia Luna, at the time, and there was not and the AG also, our attorney, also said that there was nothing unethical if I chose to do that.
Okay, and what did you ask to do? Engage in a business enterprise with the horseman?
No, if I wanted to, I had some jewelry that I had in the gift shop at Sunland Park.
And who runs the gift shop at Sunland Park?
I have no idea. It's been, I don't know, 17 years ago.
Have you had any business dealings or business ventures with any horseman while you've been an investigator?
No.
Okay, and I'm maybe pronouncing it, but Laura, Laurel Joyner?
I don't know of Laurel Joyner.
Right. Who's Mike Joyner's wife?
Linda Joyner.
So have you been in business with Linda Joyner?
No.
Would you agree that it would be improper for a investigator to be involved in a sexual relationship with a jockey?
I don't know what to say there, other than I'm not involved in a sexual relationship with a jockey.
And nor did I suggest that. My question was whether it would be ethical for an investigator to be involved in a sexual relationship with a jockey.
Probably not,
Why not?
because I would oversee them as a jockey.
Do you know a individual by the name of Bonnet Posh Horacio Perez.
Yes.
He's a jockey.
Yes.
He's married.
I don't know.
Have you, and you're a friend of his, is that right?
We're acquaintances.
I see. Now, getting back to Mr. Walker, you're aware that he went to work at the Texas Racing Commission.
I'm not aware of that, no.
Were you aware that he was terminated from the Texas Racing Commission?
No.
Did you ever try to subpoena the Facebook entities to determine who was posting about the commission on social media?
No.
Now, have you seen the police report that was generated as a result of the call on December 10th, 2021?
I may have seen it. I don't remember it.
And you provided the state police with some anonymous Facebook postings, is that right?
Yes.
And you said that Miss Alexander was mentally unstable.
I never said that.
Do you believe she's mentally unstable?
I am not in a position to make that judgment.
Did you ever state on December 10th that Miss Alexander was a wacko?
Again, you asked me that previously, and I answered no, that's not something that would come out of my mouth.
You recall Mr. Trejo telling the state police on December 10th that Miss Alexander is adversarial and is crazy, possibly having a mental health concern?
I was not privileged to that.
How about on the 15th?
Again, I wasn't privileged to that.
Let me go off the record for about 10 seconds.
Did I say that?
You recall telling the state police on the 10th of December that there was a lot and it had been going on a long time?
There was a what?
There was a lot regarding Miss ALOT about Miss Alexander, and it was going on a long time.
I don't recall.
Okay. Now, are you aware that on December 10th, 2021, the Racing Commission received a copy of Ms. Alexander's report on the agency staff's and officials' incompetence and corruption?
I was not aware of that.
Were you aware that Ms. Alexander had submitted several IFRA requests for your telephone records beginning in 2021?
Yes.
Is there any reason why you have refused to provide those telephone records?
They're my records. I pay the phone bill and they belong to me.
And your testimony under oath today is that you have not used your personal cell phone number for official purposes in the last 2 years.
No.
Were you aware that the state police closed their investigation on February 10th of 2022?
I'm aware.
And were you aware that the very next day the Racing Commission filed a petition for injunction against Miss Alexander?
I was not aware.
Now, we can agree that the Racing Commission has taken administrative action against licensed people for making threats to staff and officials.
I don't recall any of those.
Are you aware of any violations by Ms. Alexander and any rules or regulations in December of 2021?
I have no knowledge.
Now, the New Mexico Racing Commission building is still on lockdown, is that right?
I believe the front door is still locked, yes.
And do you know why that is?
No, I don't.
Do you have any reason to be afraid of Miss Alexander's today's date?
No.
Has Miss Alexander ever given you reason to be afraid of her?
No.
Have you ever seen Miss Alexander exhibit unstable behavior in front of you?
I have not had that many interactions with Miss Alexander, and I would not know if she was unstable.
Well, you haven't observed any instability when you have observed Miss Alexander, is that right?
I have observed. I've had one conversation with a woman, so that's it. I'm not making judgment.
Sure. Now, when you went to work for the state of New Mexico, did you provide a master application employee record?
Yes.
And do you recall stating that you were an undercover field narcotics agent for the United States Air Force?
Yes.
And I understand in your application, you indicated that you had attended Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University.
Yes.
Where was that?
Daytona Beach, Florida.
And that you had gone to Community College of the Air Force, is that right?
Yes.
I don't see anywhere in your application where, well, neither Embry-Riddle or Community College of the Air Force is a law enforcement college, true?
True.
And I don't see anywhere in your application where you indicate that you went through any law enforcement training. Is that true?
Yes.
So I understand you worked for Rio Grande Air in 2009, in 1999 as a station manager.
Possibly, yes.
That's not a law enforcement job, is it?
No, it wasn't.
West Mesa Aviation from 1996 through 1998, that's not a law enforcement job, is it?
No.
Qatar Aviation from 96 through 97, that's not a law enforcement agency, is it?
No.
Coronado Aviation from 95 through 96, that's not a law enforcement agency, is it?
Nope.
Being an operations resource management supervisor for the United States Air Force between 1990 and 1994 is not a law enforcement job, is it?
No.
What is an operations resource manager?
I was part of a team that went into classified airstrips. And what to say here?
It's classified flavor.
Yeah. Where I went was classified, so. And what I did was classified.
Is investigating and suspects of illegal sales or use of narcotics, is that a classified job?
No.
How old were you in 1983?
Excuse me?
How old were you in 1983?
I don't know.
Do you recall going to a ORI conference in December of 2021?
Yes.
Do you recall speaking with an FBI agent regarding Miss Alexander and how to act? Do you recall a FBI agent telling you how to subpoena Facebook records?
No.
If I can just have a minute, maybe 5 minutes, we're almost done.
history is true. And you can say the last part because you want to ask a question.
You ready?
I am. Madam Court Reporter, all right. Ma'am, have I been polite to you today?
Yes.
All right. Have you understood all my questions?
Yes.
Have I been fair to you?
I guess, yes.
Those are all the questions I have. Pass the witness.
Thank you. We'll read and sign.